part of recording you to hear yourself talk. Are you still listening to yourself?
Yes,
You can hear me? I can hear myself.
Okay,
There. Oh, there it is.
There
Okay.
it is.
Good. And how are you guys doing?
I'm okay. Today's not a good day.
No? So why are we here today?
So, I'm here with Alani and Amanda, in case you guys
Didn't
watching didn't know. We're here interviewing Hassan Nunez, or Mr. Nunez, about yours or someone else's immigration story.
Oh, yes, definitely.
Welcome, Nunez. How are
Thank
you?
you, thank you for having me and for asking me to do this. I think it's real important to know, your family's story. So I've always been fascinated about my mom's and my dad's journey, and I do a little research on my own. There's this great website called Ancestry.com, where I've been able to trace my family's family tree like 3 or 4 generations back. Okay, so that's a great resource if you're really interested in that. But going back to my parents, my father came to this country in 1940, in the 1940s. I'd say right around World War II. And the reason why is because the men here in the United States, a lot of them signed up to go fight in World War II. And they needed help. And one of the areas that my father helped in was agriculture. So he worked on the farms, picking a lot of the fruit and vegetables that I'm assuming they needed for the war effort, okay? So this was a special program that America, the United States, had developed called the Bracero program. Bracero means open arms, right? Which is a wonderful idea. Unfortunately, he did have to experience a lot of discrimination, racism, even though they accepted him here as a worker, but they just didn't want him to stay. Eventually, he did get his residency, but he worked all over the country, Texas, Chicago, on railroads. So I'm proud of the fact that my dad was here, providing his labor to help build America to some degree. Then eventually he did meet my mom. Well, first of all, he had to come for a reason. I have to tell that story.
Okay, I'm sorry for interrupting, but when we ask questions, you are free to decline or add to anything.
Got it. Thank you. So is there a question you might want to ask that maybe I could answer with the next part?
The first question we have is, was it difficult to leave your home?
For him, I'm assuming yes, because one, you're coming to a country where you don't speak the language, and two, not knowing what to expect. The stories that I hear was that they were coming to just rake up the...
Are you serious?
What the hell?
Rake up the dollar bills. They were going to rake them up. And unfortunately, they got here and they realized that it's a lot harder than that. And yes, I'm assuming it was hard because they had to leave their families. But they left for a purpose, to help support families in Mexico.
How would you describe your home? Or
Growing up, it was a blast. I'm so grateful that my dad lived in this country and realized that, hey, my siblings and I have all of these opportunities that he didn't have, specifically with education. That was his priority. My mom and my dad, they put us through Catholic school, private school, basically, as a housekeeper and a gardener. They put us through that education, and they made education a priority for us, and I'm really grateful for that.
Do you think leaving your home or their home was a good decision?
Well, I think so, because my mother had to leave because her opportunities were so limited in Mexico as well. Being a woman, right, and a single mother at that, she had to struggle. And then when she met my father, I think they made a great team, and then eventually came to the United States and built a nice family and a foundation for my family, my brothers and sisters as well.
if you could have the chance to, would you have changed the way things worked in your country?
I can't. I wouldn't be the person I am today. And I think the good and the bad, you have to take both, okay? Because, I mean, life, that's what life is all about. You have to struggle in order to grow. And I think my parents' struggle has allowed me to grow. And I'm grateful for everything that they ever gave us, even though we grew up in, a lot of people would say, oh, a poor community. No, I think there was a lot of blessings there. I've been very blessed to have grown up where I grew up.
What made you want to leave your country in the first place?
Well, speaking for my father and my mother, there was just poverty. Where they're from, it's just not a whole lot of opportunities. A lot of, it's just poor areas that they lived in, that they had to look for something better.
What were your hardships being an immigrant, given your previous beliefs and lifestyle of your country or origin?
Well, the language was one of the hardships they had to learn. But my father, he learned to speak English fluently. My mother as well, and then they adapted so well. The cultural connections. I mean, the cultural adaptations. Because we had friends and family of different races. And I think they adapted so well. And that, I think, is one of the blessings that I'm talking about.
How did the process of becoming an immigrant affect relationships within your life? Like relationships with your family, friends, and or in your romantic life?
Well, I don't know about the romantic part, but I guess it relates, because think about it. The way we grew up, we were exposed to different races that accepted us. So, in that sense, I have friends that are from different nationalities. We grew up in a community that was very, I didn't experience the racism until actually I got older, and it's unfortunate that that's the way we're living right now in certain areas. But as far as relationships, I'm open to a lot of other nationality, cultures, anything. I'm not a closed-minded person, or at least I try not to be. And for that matter, I think I have my parents to thank for that.
Was there ever a point in your journey where you considered turning back?
I don't think so. I mean, for my parents, if I'm speaking for my father and my mother, they couldn't turn back. They knew that this was it, because there was nothing for them. I'm sure there was, but it was just going to be a lot harder for them.
Where in your journey did you struggle finding who you are?
Well, when I got older, I realized that, I grew up different. I wasn't the same as, like, people viewed me, and they still view me, I think, in some cases, as different. And they look at me with a side eye, and who is this guy? And that's cool, because they didn't go through my experiences, and they don't have what I experienced. I'm grateful for that, and it's unfortunate some people can't see that,
Why did your journey take place? Is your journey still happening?
Well, my parents' journey took place because of the economic and social, political situation in Mexico is always evolving, still continues to affect a lot of people. And mine, yes, because now I'm affecting other children of immigrants, right? And by me telling my story, they can sit there and go, okay, maybe I need to settle down and maybe look at what's important, which is education, in my eyes.
Do you ever use your previous experience in your home country to settle and when you arrive in the United States?
My peers' experience, yes. I love the fact that I've come to meet people from all over Mexico, all over Central America, and even South America. I have friends from all different areas that I've benefited from knowing them, right? The food alone, just knowing people from different areas, man, that right there is a way to connect with someone and also build those relationships.
Was there a situation where you almost got caught?
Yes, there was a couple of times that my parents got, there's the bell, sorry. There was a couple of times that my parents did I think my dad got deported a couple of times. And you know who came to save him? A white family came and went to go look for him, because they appreciated him so much that they wanted to help him get his residency, and that's how he got it. They went and fought for him to come and become a citizen. Oh, sorry, I'll be there right now. We're just finishing up. All right, girls. Sorry it took so long. Thank you. All right. Okay. All right, we'll do part 2.
Now, guys.
Yes, and we still got to do our taste test.
How are you today?
Good, better. I'm a little rushed still, too. Still got a lot to do. What's up?
Okay. So this is part 2, so we're gonna keep interviewing them.
So we're gonna repeat the last. Did you use your previous experience in your home country to settle in when you arrived in the United States?
Oh, so speaking for my father, yes. I'm gonna say that he used his experience as a farmer, as a rancher, to acquire jobs in those fields. So he tended, I think, he worked on a lot of farmlands in Central California, and in Texas and in Chicago. And of course, being that that's hard labor, he also worked on railroads. So a lot of that stuff is, manual labor, I think is what he applied. And then for my mother, she was, I think she was a childcare worker. She was also a housekeeper, right? So she tended those things. So those were the jobs that she was able to transfer over, when she got here in this country.
Was there a situation where you almost got caught?
I think we talked about my parents. I think my father did in one instance where he was deported, but thankfully someone fought for him. And what I mean by fought for him is they actually, when he was deported, the owners of the farm where he worked at in Texas, I think, he contacted them, explained what happened, and they were able to get him papers as well. They, I think, sponsored him, and then he became a resident through their help. And my assumption is because he was such a good worker and had a good relationship with the owners of the farm that they fought for him.
Did you find a job or jobs? If so, what were they? Did you like them? Were you getting treated unfairly, etc.?
My understanding is yes, the Bracero program, and this is years after my father passed away that I found out, the Bracero program was very unjust in the sense that they were mistreated because they were migrant farmers, right? They were brought over here technically legally, not to stay, but to work. They were asked by the US government. And the interesting thing is that they were being, money was taken out of their accounts, out of their checks, and they were being held by a bank called Wells Fargo. And now we have actually cases of people who actually have fought for that money. So that money's been sitting in banks, accumulating interest and this and that. And again, one of the ways that they were being mistreated is that they weren't being paid fairly, very low wages to begin with, right? And then on top of that, the mistreatment that they would get from the farm owners, and some of them wouldn't pay for them, pay for their services. And then this is the other one I heard, they would call immigration on the farm workers. Why do you think they called them? So they wouldn't have to pay them. They would let them work, and they would say, "Oh, sorry, immigration's here. You're gonna get deported. Sorry, I can't pay you." There were many cases of that. All right, so that was unfortunate.
Were you on the streets, or did you find a place to stay? Or if so, how did you do it?
I know for a fact that Bracero program offered housing when they got here. So for example, my uncle and my father, who were the two oldest of their family, had to, stay in the little houses that were located on the farmland, right? Or tents, I think, or something like that. So they had to find a way. And then eventually, my uncle, who settled in the city of Compton, he was able to help my father get settled, and that's where actually we grew up. So yeah, we did have some family members that were already living here, and then they helped, hey, there's a house for rent next to ours, I could talk to the owner, and they were able to provide us with some housing for that time period.
Lastly, what was the biggest problems you had when entering the United States? How did you overcome them? How big was the impact on your stay?
Okay, so my understanding is because my dad had the Bracero program experience and then being a resident, that wasn't an issue for him. He could come and go. He can go visit Mexico, whenever he wanted. The interesting thing is he was able to buy, because of that car, because of his residency, he was able to purchase a truck, brand new, from Saab Chevrolet in downtown LA, and he drove it all the way to Mexico. Now, he had to, it's a funny story, he had to add extra gas tanks because there were no gas tanks, there were no gas stations. Once he got into Mexico, when he started driving into the hills, there's no gas stations. You can't just pull over and start, hey, fill up. So he added these extra gas tanks in order to make it to Mexico and back. So he was able to come and go, visit family, provide his family with things. I think his mother was still alive, which is my grandmother. I never met her. All right, but then eventually he did bring over my mother, right, who had to come over illegally because during that time she didn't have papers. So, but luckily she stayed and eventually became a citizen.
So you stated yesterday that your father and your father and mother met. How exactly did they meet?
How did they meet? Oh my goodness. My understanding is that my mother was working in a store or a bakery or something like that, and my dad went in and I guess started talking to her. And eventually, every day I think he would go get something just to go talk to her and stuff. Yeah, I guess he was stalking her. Basically, he stalked her. No, I'm just kidding. No.
In the
So
end,
then,
he did get the girl.
in the end, I guess it made an impression. I will say this though. I think this is where he fue y le llevó serenata. He went and took the mariachi and he went to go, and that was. I know that would be cringy right now, but I think that was the thing. What? That still happens? That's still a thing? All right, so Pops was the big old romantic, y le llevó serenata, and I think sealed the deal. My mom was like, okay. And here's the interesting thing: she did not look through the window, because I think it was like, the whole household was like, ay, te trajeron serenata. But my understanding is that she did not peek. She just stood there by the window and listened to the serenata and stuff.
I would.
I know. I don't know what the proper what the etiquette is for serenata, but that was the story that I heard. And I guess it made. Yeah, it was a movie, straight out of a movie, right? Okay, so any other questions?
No, that's it.
I
Thank
think
you so much.
that was awesome. Letting me share my story. Appreciate that.
Thank you so much
for being willing to share that.
You got it. Anytime. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Now I got two
Thanks
open.
again.
Oh, I'll keep them.
No,
No.
I was at $1.
Were you calling me? Did you need something?
Bye, guys.
Bye.